based on what Richard was just talking about, when you were talking about, he sees your image on the computer, he hears your voice, but he has no way of knowing for sure that you exist outside of that. When I hear you talk about that kind of thing, what comes to me is just this idea of common sense. Like it's just common sense to me that yes, you do live in Mexico, in addition to being this image on the screen and the sound I hear through the computer.
Yes, I'm the same way. I just deal with the shit that's in front of me, of course. You'd be insane not to, actually. But that's not what we're getting at here. What we're getting at here is the claim that someone knows the capital T truth of what reality is. And
my question was about the common sense thing, that common sense tells me you are in Mexico, as opposed to what you said a few minutes ago, where Richard can only know for sure that he sees your image on the screen and hears your voice on the computer, and he doesn't really know you're in Mexico. So that's kind of my ongoing question. And so when I brought that up a minute ago, you said, yeah, you're the same way. You also realize that's common sense, that you are in Mexico.
Well, okay. The operative word there is know for sure. I can assume many things, and it's very convenient to assume a lot of things, because if we have to invent the world all over again in each moment, we could not really cope with surviving. I mean, I don't know that if I trip and fall again on this arm, I'll be in surgery for a couple of hours, but I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to test that proposition. So I've
been reading some books about the mind, and one of the ideas I've read about is that there's the way our minds have developed over time is that we purposely, or we're designed not to bother thinking about things that aren't worth thinking about. So that kind of comes to mind with, yeah, maybe I don't know for sure you're in Mexico, but what the hell? That's going to be my assumption, and it's useful for me and for humans to have those kind of assumptions.
Well, that's right. The human vision is a very good example of what perception and thought really are. Our eyes seem very capable, more capable than a digital camera. Well, I use cameras a lot. We can read tiny print on a screen and all of that. And we see a whole field in front of us, a whole world, and it's filled with detail. But there's only one focal point. It's in the center of the eye where there's any real detail at all. And if you hold your hand out in front of you and look at your thumbnail, that's about the size of the in focus area in this entire visual world. And all the rest of it is a blur. And we just fill it in mentally. Of course, not intentionally, it just happens. And that's how we can walk through the world and kind of know there's a car over there headed my way. But actually, it's never in focus unless we look directly at it. So this is what we're doing mentally. We just assume that God is taking care of everything. We were told that since we were children, and that is a kind of a useful belief that this world is organized somehow. I don't have to keep checking it all the time to make sure it's still here. And so we just go along with the image of reality that has been taught to us. And for many people, that's fine. They live and die. This is what George Gurdjieff called food for the moon. These people are what he called food for the moon. And in his conception, the moon actually lived on human beings. It had to eat them to hold this place. So Gurdjieff was an elitist, and I think I am too. He imagined that most humans are food for the moon. And for some of us, we question all these assumptions. Is there really a God? Is anything really organized in that way so that things happen for a reason? These are questions, but they don't have answers. So if you want to occupy yourself with those questions, or if that's what you find yourself doing, let's say, because David, if there's really no choice, you say, is there really free will to choose what kind of mind to have? Of course there isn't. When would that have started? So you're stuck with the mind you have. So if you're interested in these matters, as I have been, then you read Krishnamurti or whoever it is. Another person who doesn't claim to know any truth, he's just going to tell you to wipe the slate clean and make an examination for yourself. If you didn't have that interest in all of your minds, you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. This would be totally boring. What is this guy talking about? Why did he write that shit to begin with? Who cares? I just want to go to I want to have sex with a porn star. That'll take care of everything. And that's the guy who's running the country. It's and trying to. Well, I won't go into that rant. That's endless. We all know who I'm talking about, that fucker. Actually destroying, I'm about to rant, but I'll just keep it to 10 seconds. He's actually destroying these structures that have been built up since the 1770s and have served very well to keep tyrants from ruling the United States. And this guy's just dismantling all of that because he is a tyrant. And that's what, he's just preparing the ground. And people are saying, well, he'll never be reelected. Okay, I've spoken. Well, let's keep on the previous subject because politics is an endless swamp.
I was looking for the truth about 11 years. And then I was researching about the spirituality, about many religions. After all these years, I just came to that conclusion that I don't know anything. I try to just observe myself. That's all what I do. And then I was thinking, maybe behind searching for the truth was something else that was, I couldn't see it. So my question is, that's all what I do. I just go to nature. I love nature. And somehow the search is stopped. And I'm not looking for anything. I don't do meditation. And what I do, like for fear or anxiety or what I have, I just accept that. I try to accept that. That is what it is right now. Okay, I'm anxious, I'm angry, or all this. So is this, I wanted to know what is your take of, what is your opinion on it?
Okay. I think that the technique of observing in that way is what is called Vipassana meditation. Mm-hmm. Where it's raw attention. You just notice whatever's arising. And that's that's a meditation technique. So
I didn't know about it. I didn't know it's a technique.
However you arrived at it, that's pretty much what you're doing. And mm-hmm. I think that's really great to become aware of one's own thoughts and feelings is extremely important, and being present. Because the reason I criticize the path so much is that when someone's on a path, they usually aren't looking at what's right in front of them. They're looking down the path because the idea of a path is mm-hmm. to the end of the path, not to be walking. But what if there really is no end? what if there's not really a path? What if the path is just someone else's idea of what to do with your life? See that, and you have
That's, yeah.
that, and so that's where you got to, right? You said, I've been hearing all this stuff for 11 years. Now I'm just going to go out in nature and see what I feel.
And when I wash dishes, and when I vacuum clean.
Yeah.
All this is small step, you know, it's just you know, I don't have any question anymore. It's
Because with that as a basis, there's no bullshit in the system. See, we're just going to, I'm not saying that you have any truth or that I do, capital T truth. What I'm saying is we're not bullshitting. We're talking about what we really see and feel.
exactly.
Yes, but see, that's true. It may not be capital T truth, but it's true. It's true. And
Yes.
you see, that's my commitment here in doing these Zooms. I don't know what I'm going to say. I have no preparation for doing this, but I have no truth, but I will speak truly. I will really speak truly. I will not lie. I will do the best I can to express what I really see and feel and think. And
that's what I feel. Yeah, that's what I felt. And that's why I was attracted to you, because it's just, you know, it's nothing bullshitting. It's all what it is, you know, and, you know, it's no cover up or, you know, that's what I like.
Thank you. That's really a great compliment. And I want to really say that's not easy. This is not to compliment myself for being that way, although it could sound that way, but I don't mean it that way. I see people who have had a kind of awakening like mine, who become corrupted by the attention. And now they've got this system to present or this argument to make, and then the truth-telling really goes out of it. They're repeating some stale thing that sells well. And if they have any doubts about it, they're just not going to confess that. Or they won't confess their ignorance. They won't tell you, I don't really know the answer to that. See, they have to have the answer to everything. And there's a lot of them around. They've written a lot of books. And there's a whole industry right now about non-duality, where these people are saying, no person really exists. None of this really exists. And yes, well, going back to David's question earlier, how do you know that? How do you know nothing exists? That's a really incredibly broad and weighty statement. We're all just dreaming, is what they say. This is just a dream. Oh, really? How do you know that? Am I dreaming this broken arm?
Yes.
I hope, if I am, I hope I don't keep dreaming it. I would like to have it stop right now. No, wake me up. I've had enough of this dream. This dream sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been in pain a lot the last couple of weeks. It feels really good to talk about it and laugh.
And I think it's Robert. I think if somebody, it's just my opinion. I don't know. If somebody knows the truth, I wouldn't. The person is kind of. I don't want to go and teach to others. I love to just see the wonder of the world. You know, I don't want to go and try. You know, talk about it. I am wondering how a leaf falls down. I'm so excited about how the leaf falls down when I see the animals and I see the beauty. And I don't know if I wanted to go and teach and talk about it to the people. I don't know if I would do that. You know what I mean?
Of course, I know what you mean. Earlier, I mentioned how John Troy had got me into this position here. I was in my 40s when I had the Kensho, the awakening. And I never discussed it for many years. I never mentioned it. I was doing other things in life. I was an artist for part of that time and then a psychotherapist, and I kept it on that level. When I did psychotherapy, it was true that I had this understanding behind it, but I never said to anyone, your problems aren't real, I have the truth, or whatever. I mean, it would have been absurd, right? So it just happened that in 2010, I wrote this article, and it got on the internet, and John saw it, John Troy, and invited me to do this interview on his radio show. And this all came out of that. And I've enjoyed it to an extent. It's also been difficult to be idealized and difficult because we all have an elemental narcissism after all. And if someone tells you how great you are, it's difficult not to become inflated after all. But I think I've managed okay with it. But it's actually not easy to, with you, it's not a problem, you get it. But there are people who don't get it. And they want to, and, oh, Robert knows. You see, Robert, just, please touch me, Robert, throw something at, you know. And it's a strange position. And it's given me a lot of insight into what's driving these millionaire gurus. I mean, money is such a very big part of the approval process on this planet. If something sells for a lot, we think it's good. And if it doesn't, and does that really? Does that apply to a painting or a photograph? I would say not. So when people start to throw money at these guys, they're mostly guys, they just get more and more pumped up. Yeah, I really do have the truth. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a millionaire. And see, this is just, it's no different really from these television preachers, the TV evangelists. Yes, TV evangelists. It's the same thing. Their success makes them feel that God really loves them. Because if God hadn't chosen me to do this work, why would I be getting paid so much for it? And nothing about how the PR firm really knows how to promote your kind of shit. See, that's not okay. So if you want to make a deep critique of this spiritual marketplace, that's really, just look at these people and ask yourself, why are they doing this? Why? What's the motive? And if they're living in a $7 million house or something, that might be the motive. And the rest of it is the bullshit that they tell themselves, not just the bullshit they're telling the audience. I'm not going to mention any more names because every time I do that, I get bad mail. But there's one of these guys now who's like the king of the hill. And the kind of thing that Richard McGraw was talking about before of having truth and if you meditate for 30 years, you'll see that also. That's actually what one of these guys is saying. So he's got 30 years now to ply this trade before the first victim can take him to court. That's a pretty good setup. Okay, I've been irreverent enough for one day. Let's get serious here.